First in the spotlight tonight is Andy Crane, a retired business analyst from Putney. His subject, the Olympic Games. Next, Jack Young from Kilmarnock, and his subject, the legendary Duke Ellington. Louise Broadbent is an IT analyst from Portsmouth, and she'll be answering questions on Hammer Films. And Andrew Teal, an office worker from Bolton. His subject, the 18th century soldier, General James Wolfe. And welcome to Mastermind with me, John Humphrys. Tonight's contenders will each make that short but daunting walk to the black chair, where they will answer 2 minutes of questions on their specialist subject and then 2.5 minutes on general knowledge. The winner will go through to the next round and take a step nearer to being crowned the nation's mastermind. So let's get on with it and ask our first contender to join us, please. And your name?
Andy Crane.
Your occupation?
Retired business analyst.
And your chosen subject?
Summer Olympics, 1992 to 2012.
The Olympics in 2 minutes starting now. Which athlete retained his 100 and 200 metres titles at the London Olympics in 2012?
Usain Bolt.
Yep, at the 92 Barcelona Games, the basketball tournament was open to players from the NBA. What nickname was commonly given to the American squad?
Dream Team.
Yep. Which gymnastic discipline was introduced at the 2000 Games in Sydney? Irina Karabayeva and Alexander Moskalenko were the first 2 gold medalists.
Trampoline.
Yes. Who was awarded an Olympic record score for his final dive as he won gold in the 10 metres platform event in Beijing in 2008?
Duha.
Matthew Mitchum. In what cycling event did Bradley Wiggins win a bronze medal in Sydney, a silver medal in Athens and a gold medal in Beijing?
Pursuit.
Yes, the 4,000 metres team pursuit. Softball was included at 4 games before being dropped from the programme. America won 3 gold medals between 1996 and 2004. Which country defeated them in the final in 2008?
Japan.
Yes. Which athletics event was won by Keishon Walcott from Trinidad and Tobago at London 2012?
Javelin.
Yep. Which event was added to the women's athletics programme in 2008 when, for the first time, men and women competed at an equal number of running events?
3,000 steeplechase.
Yes. Who won gold in the women's double sculls at London 2012 after collecting silver medals at the 3 previous games?
No. Pass.
In which swimming event at Athens did Michael Phelps collect the first of his 18 gold medals? He went on to win a record 22 Olympic medals in total.
200 intermediate medley.
400 metres individual medley. Which athlete broke his own world record by over 1/3 of a second in the final of the men's 200 metres in Atlanta?
Johnson.
Yes. Who was Andy Murray's first round opponent in the men's singles at London 2012?
Pass.
Which country won its first Olympic medal when Rahula Nikpai secured bronze in Taekwondo in 2008? Take a guess. You're out of time.
Yeah, Morocco.
No, well, actually, no, Afghanistan. Quite a way away, I suppose. 2 passes. Andy Murray's first round opponent was Stan Wawrinka, and that woman who won the double sculls 2012, the gold, Kath Granger.
Yes.
Andy, you have 8 points. And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Jack Young.
Your occupation?
Retired finance clerk.
And your specialist subject?
Life and music of Duke Ellington.
Duke Ellington, the great. Jazz composer and bandleader Edward Kennedy Duke Ellington is known as one of the greatest musicians of the 20th century. In which city was he born in 1899?
Washington, D.C.
Yes. Which famous composition named after an express service that went through Harlem became the band's signature tune from the early 40s onwards?
Take the A-Train.
Yes. Ellington called one of his early pieces the Soda Fountain Rag because, as a teenager, he served sodas at which cafe in Washington?
Poodle Dog.
Yep. Which member of Ellington's band was with him for 47 years and also became his personal driver?
Harry Carney.
Yes, what was the title of Ellington's stage musical supporting the American Civil Rights Movement that opened in Los Angeles in 1941?
Pass.
What was the maiden name of Ellington's childhood sweetheart Edna, whom he married when he was 19?
Pass.
Ellington never divorced Edna, but he had various lovers, including the showgirl Bea Ellis, who was commonly known by what other forename?
Evie.
Yep. For which 59 film did Ellington write his first complete full-length film score? He made a brief appearance in the film as Pie-Eye.
Anatomy of a Murder.
Yep, Ellington's orchestra was bolstered in the early 40s when he hired a young bass player and a full-time tenor sax player. They named the band after the two musicians. What was it called?
The Blanton Webster Band.
Yeah, what was the name of the music publishing company Ellington founded in the early 40s that was managed by his sister and had a large music catalogue at the time of his death?
Pass.
When Ellington's band appeared at the Newport Jazz Festival in '56, the saxophonist Paul Gonsalves played a 27-chorus solo on which two-part composition?
Diminuendo and Crescendo in Blue.
Correct. In '57, Ellington and his collaborator Billy Strayhorn composed Such Sweet Thunder. Which movement from the suite takes its title from the prologue of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet?
Star-Crossed Lovers.
Yes, who awarded him the Medal of Freedom and played Happy Birthday on the piano when Ellington celebrated his 70th birthday at the White House?
Is that Nixon?
It was. What was the title of the trio album that Ellington recorded with Charlie Mingus and Max Roach in 1962?
Money Jungle.
Yep. For which label did Ellington record a number of albums, including Afro Bossa, when his contract with Columbia expired in 1962?
RCA Victor.
No, Reprise Records. You had 3 passes. It was the Tempo Music Publishing Company that he founded in the early 40s. Thompson was the maiden name of Edna, his childhood sweetheart, and Jump for Joy was the title of his stage musical supporting the American Civil Rights Movement. Jack, you have 11 points.
Oh.
And our next contender, please. And your name is?
Louise Broadbent.
Your occupation?
IT analyst.
And your chosen subject?
Hammer Films, 1958 to 1974.
Hammer Films in 2 minutes. Here we go. Which actor's many roles in Hammer Films included Dr. Van Helsing, Baron Frankenstein, Sherlock Holmes and the Sheriff of Nottingham?
Peter Cushing.
Yes. What spin-off of a popular sitcom was made for less than £100,000 but became one of Hammer's most profitable productions?
On the Buses.
Yep. Which character in Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde asks the so-called Mrs. Hyde how her brother Henry is, prompting her to reply, he hasn't been himself of late?
Pass.
What black comedy did Betty Davis make for the company in 1967 following the success of her first Hammer film, The Nanny?
The Anniversary.
Yes, in Frankenstein Created Woman, how long does Frankenstein spend dead in a deep freeze without his soul leaving his body?
A week.
1 hour. In the film She, which actress dubbed the lines of Aisha, played by Ursula Andress?
Pass.
What is the name of the cat who witnesses a murder in the '61 thriller The Shadow of the Cat, which was released as part of a double bill with The Curse of the Werewolf?
Tabitha.
Yep. What is the name of the Hungarian-born director of the '71 film Hands of the Ripper, in which a psychoanalyst tries to cure Jack the Ripper's daughter of her homicidal impulses?
Peter Sasdy.
Yes. How is the escaped murderer Selden related to the housekeeper, Mrs. Barrymore, in The Hound of the Baskervilles?
He's her brother.
Yeah. In Further Up the Creek, Hammer's sequel to the '58 Peter Sellers comedy, Frankie Howerd and David Tomlinson play crew members of which ship?
Pass.
In a review of what gory 1958 Hammer production did the critic Harold Conway warn one step further and the licence permitted by the censor's X certificate will be dangerously abused?
Dracula.
Yes. What novel by H.L. Lawrence was adapted for the '61 film The Damned?
Children of Light.
Yes. Which '67 Hammer film is about a mysterious object discovered by workmen at the fictional Hobbs End London Underground station?
It's a spacecraft.
No, it's Quatermass and the Pit. Yeah. Who composed the scores for over 20 Hammer films, including The Curse of Frankenstein, The Devil Rides Out, and most famously Dracula?
James Bernard.
Yep. In The Gorgon, what is the name of the castle in the village of Vandorf where the monster has come to live?
Pass.
Well, I can tell you because time's up. Borski is the name of it. And your other passes in Further Up the Creek, the ship is the Aristotle. In the film She, it was Nicky van der Zyl who dubbed the lines of Aisha. And it was Howard Spencer who asked Mrs. Hyder how her brother Henry was. Louise, you have scored 9 points. And our final contender, please. And your name is?
Andrew Teal.
Your occupation?
Office worker.
Chosen subject?
General James Wolfe.
General James Wolfe. In 2 minutes, here we go. James Wolfe was an officer who led the British Army to a major victory over the French in the 7 Years' War at the Battle of 1759, during which he was killed. Which battle?
The Plains of Abraham.
Yep. What was the name of the house in Westerham that Wolfe's family were renting when he was born in 1727?
Sperry's house.
Spears. What firing method developed by the Prussian army did Wolfe champion instead of the platoon firing system that was in general use by the English army?
Alternate fire.
Yes. To whom did Wolfe act as aide-de-camp during the Jacobite rebellion, including at Culloden?
Hawley.
Yep. Which promontory overlooking Louisbourg harbour did Wolfe secure with a detachment of picked men?
The lighthouse.
Yep. Following the capture of Louisbourg, Wolfe was sent to destroy the fishing industry around a peninsula in the Gulf of St. Lawrence. Which peninsula?
Gaspé.
Yep. Wolfe was thrown from his horse after it was shot in a battle of June 1743 during the War of the Austrian Succession. Which battle?
Dettingen.
Correct. Wolfe established his camp at the mouth of a tributary of the St. Lawrence River at the Siege of Quebec on the 10th of July 1759. Which tributary?
The Montmorency.
Yes. In April 1755, Wolfe was overlooked for the appointment of Colonel of the 20th Foot. Who was given the job?
Hollywood.
Yeah. In September 1757, Wolfe took part in a failed expedition against a seaport that was a primary target on the Atlantic coast of France. What was the seaport?
Rochefort.
Yep. In which barracks at the head of Loch Lomond was Wolfe stationed during the second half of 1746?
Inversnaid.
It was. Wolfe's friendship with an English naval officer was described by Horace Walpole as like the union of a cannon and gunpowder. Who was the officer?
Ward.
No, how? At what point on the north bank of the St. Lawrence River did Wolfe land his troops in the early hours of the 13th of September 1759, prior to the Battle of the Plains of Abraham?
Also Foulon.
Correct. Wolfe argued with his parents over his romantic relationship with the niece of Sir John Mordaunt. What was her name?
Lawson.
Yep. Into which colonel's regiment of foot was Wolfe exchanged as an ensign in March 1742 after serving as a volunteer under his father?
Durour.
Yes. Which of his brigadiers, I've started so I've finished, did Wolfe send with around 1,200 men along the St. Lawrence to attack French shipping, raid villages and burn stores?
Murray.
Murray is correct. No passes, Andrew. You have 14 points. That's the end of the first round, the specialist round. Let's have a look at the scores. In fourth place with 8 points, Andy Crane. Third place, 9 points, Louise Broadbent. Second place, 11 points, Jack Young. First place, a hefty 14 points, Andrew Teal. Round two now, the general knowledge round, and if there is a tie at the end of it, then the number of passes is taken into account, and the person with the fewer passes is the winner. And if they're tied on passes as well, there will be a tie break. And by the way, the 6 higher-scoring runners-up will also be able to claim a place in the semi-finals. So, plenty to play for. Let's get on with it and ask Andy to join us again, please. And just a reminder, you scored 8 points with your knowledge of the Olympic Games. Big subject, that. Let's see how you do with your general knowledge. You get 2.5 minutes for this round, of course. Here we go. On which long-running radio show devised by Roy Plumley in 1941 do celebrities choose their 8 favourite records?
Desert Island Disc.
Yes. Who wrote the play The Crucible, based on the Salem witchcraft trials of 1692?
Pass.
Which British ocean liner was bought by a Chinese shipping magnate who moved it to Hong Kong, where it sank in January 1972 after catching fire?
Queen Elizabeth.
Yes. Which Caribbean island is traditionally divided into 3 counties named Middlesex, Surrey and Cornwall?
Jamaica.
Yep. What features on the human face are called the supercilia? The term is the source of the word supercilious.
The eyebrows.
Yeah. What name did the linguistic psychologist Charles K. Ogden give to the simplified form of English comprising a limited vocabulary of 850 words that he intended for use as an international language?
Esperanto.
Basic English. Of which Prime Minister did Queen Victoria reportedly remark, "He speaks to me as if I was a public meeting"?
Disraeli.
Gladstone. In 1978, the Welshman Leighton Rees beat England's John Lowe in the final to become the first professional world champion in which sport?
Dart.
Yep. What term, coined by the mathematician Benoit Mandelbrot, is used for an object whose parts at infinitely many levels of magnification appear geometrically similar to the whole? Examples from nature include coastlines and mountain ranges.
Isohedric.
Fractal. Which Motown singer was backed by the Vandellas, whose original lineup included Annette Beard and Rosalind Ashford?
Martha Reed.
Yes. Which day during Holy Week has a name that means commandment and refers to Jesus' challenge to his disciples to love one another as he had loved them?
Monday, Thursday.
Yes. Who stars as Freddie Quell, a troubled Navy veteran alongside Philip Seymour Hoffman in the 2012 film The Master?
John Smith.
Now, Joaquin Phoenix. What name is given to the thoroughfare that links Edinburgh Castle to the Palace of Holyrood House?
The Royal Mile.
Yes. Which American contemporary composer wrote the operas Nixon in China and The Death of Klinghoffer?
Glass.
Adams. What term for the practice of sending emails claimed to be from a legitimate enterprise to obtain financial or other confidential information refers to the seemingly innocent messages used as bait?
Spam.
Phishing. A sketch in the television programme The Frost Report featured John Cleese as upper class, Ronnie Barker as middle class. Who was working class?
Ronnie Corbett.
Yeah. The film of yeast, known as the floral that forms on the surface of the liquid during the fermentation process, is particularly associated with the drier styles of what fortified wine?
Port.
No, it was sherry. Thought there might be a clue in the dryer. Anyway, one pass, the chap who wrote The Crucible, based on the Salem witchcraft trials, Arthur Miller. Yep, which you knew, of course. That's the way it goes. Andy, you now have a total of 17 points. Good. And now Louise again, please. And you start off with 9 points with your knowledge of the Hammer films. And as we speak, 17 is the score to beat. Let's see how you can do with your general knowledge. 2.5 minutes starting now. Which British Olympic ice dancers received an unprecedented 9 sixes at Sarajevo in 1984?
Torvill and Dean.
Yes. What's the common name for the red, orange or brown hydrated oxide that is formed on the surface of iron when it is exposed to air and moisture?
Red rust.
Yes. Who topped the UK singles charts for the 4th time in 1992 with I Will Always Love You?
Whitney Houston.
Yeah, what landmark on the Leeds-Liverpool Canal, originally a jetty for the unloading of coal from barges, was made famous by George Orwell and George Formby?
Wigan Pier.
Yep. In which television series did Sybil Shepherd play a former fashion model who runs a detective agency managed by a cocky young private eye played by Bruce Willis?
Moonlighting.
Yes, according to Homer's Iliad, which king of Greek mythology had 50 sons, including Hector and Paris?
Priam.
Yes. In the Rocky film starring Sylvester Stallone, what is the title character's surname?
Marcello?
No, Balboa. The maned wolf, the giant river otter, the tapir, the giant anteater and the jaguar are the species that have been chosen to represent which continent's big 5 mammals?
South America.
Yes. Which 17th century poet wrote To Althea from prison, which includes the lines Stone walls do not a prison make, nor iron bars a cage?
John Donne.
Richard Lovelace. What term is used in art for a sculpture that depicts the upper part of a person's body, particularly their head, shoulders and chest?
Bust.
Yes. What word of Polynesian origin for something forbidden was introduced in English by Captain Cook? It was originally used for something put aside for a king or priest and forbidden to ordinary people.
Taboo.
Yes, which grape grown mainly in central Italy and used in the wines Chianti and Vino Nobile di Montepulciano has a name said to be derived from a Latin phrase meaning blood of Jupiter.
Pass.
Which family are known by the American Secret Service codenames of Renegade, Renaissance, Radiance and Rosebud?
Kennedys.
The Obama family. In the comic opera by Rossini, which character introduces himself with the aria Largo al Factotum?
The Barber of Seville.
Figaro, yes, or Barbara Seville. In physics, what quantity, usually denoted by the letter M, can be defined as the quantity of matter in a body?
Mass.
Yes. What English name is given to the immature shoots of legumes widely used in Chinese and Oriental cuisine?
Bean sprouts.
Yes. In which West Yorkshire town did a meeting take place in the George Hotel in 1895 that saw the formation of the Northern Union, which later evolved into the Rugby League?
Wigan.
Huddersfield. Who wrote the novels The Young Lions and Rich Man, Poor Man, on which a successful television series was based?
Jeffrey Archer.
No, Owen Shaw. Which small South American country was granted independence in 1828 by a treaty that created a buffer state between Portuguese and Spanish interests?
Chile.
Close. Uruguay. You had one pass, that grape that was used for Chianti, etc., the Sangiovese. You have, Louise, 21 points. And now Jack Young again, please. And you start out with 11 points from the first round. Let's see how you do in the general knowledge round. 21 is the score to beat as we speak. Here we go, 2.5 minutes. To be or not to be, that is the question, is part of a famous soliloquy spoken by the title character in which Shakespeare played.
Hamlet.
Yep, Britain's first commercial example of what form of energy generation was opened at Delabole in North Cornwall in 1991.
Wave energy.
No, wind farm. Which British artist series called the pharmaceutical paintings are also known as the spot paintings?
Pass.
The Han and the Tang were two ancient dynasties that ruled in which country?
China.
Yep. Which American rock and roll singer's first UK chart entry was Summertime Blues? It made the top 20 in 1958.
Eddie Cochran.
Yeah, what word that originally meant the management of a household has become a synonym for farming or agriculture?
Pass.
Which children's author wrote the novel Matilda about a gifted 5-year-old girl sent by uncaring parents to Cruncham Hall School run by the evil headmistress Agatha Trunchbull?
Roald Dahl.
Yes, in which sport does the Canadian-born Wayne Gretzky hold the record for most career assists, most career goals with 894, as well as most career points?
American football.
Ice hockey. What term is used in biology for the waves of muscular contraction that propel food contents along a mammal's alimentary canal?
Pass.
Copra is the dried kernel of the fruit of which palm it yields a valuable oil that is used in cooking and cosmetics?
Olive.
Coconut. To which islands was the Royal Navy destroyer HMS Dauntless controversially deployed on her maiden mission in 2012?
Falklands.
Yep. Which town near Paris gave its name to a school of 16th century artists associated with the court of Francis I and known for the elegance and decorative flair of their work?
Versailles.
Fontainebleau. Which television detectives played by Michael Brandon and Glynis Barber worked for Scotland Yard's Covert SI-10 division, whose boss was the loudmouth Liverpudlian Gordon Spikings?
Dempsey and Makepeace.
Correct. What term is used in cookery for the process of using a liquid such as stock or wine to loosen and dissolve the residues left behind in a pan after meat has been browned?
Steeping.
Deglazing. Which ancient Indian religion was founded in the 6th century BC on the tradition of ahisma, or non-violence to any living things? One of its most important festivals is called Puryushan.
Hinduism.
Jainism. Who composed the music for the opera Tristan and Isolde, first performed in 1865?
Wagner.
Yes, which 1981 film describes the struggles and achievements of the British athletes Harold Abrams and Eric Liddell at the 1924 Paris Olympics?
The Chariots of Fire.
Yes, what two-letter abbreviation is generally used for the ounce in imperial weight measure?
OZ.
Yep, which American singer, considered by many to have been one of the greatest white blues rock singers, made the album Pearl that was released posthumously in 1971?
To say Chuck Berry.
It was Janis Joplin. You had 3 passes. That term for the muscular contraction that propels food along the alimentary canal is peristalsis. I know. The word originally meaning management of a household, synonym for farming, husbandry, and it was Damien Hirst who did the spot paintings, if you can call them that, but I didn't say that. three passes, Jack. You now have a total of 20 points.
Yep.
And finally, Andrew Teal again, please. And you start out with a total of 14 points, so 21, still the score to beat. Let's see if you can do it with your general knowledge. Here we go. In gardening, what term is specifically used for the clipping of evergreen plants such as box or yew into artificial shapes?
Topiary.
Yep. Which television comedy series named after the average family size centred on the Porters, Bill and Ben, and their teenage children, Jenny and David?
2.4 children.
Yeah, what word that comes from the term picture element is used in technology for the individual points that make up a digital image?
Pixel.
Yep. Which Leicestershire town was the destination of Thomas Cook's first excursion in 1841, is also the home of a university whose alumni include Lord Coe and Paula Radcliffe?
Loughborough.
Yes, what violent whirlwind, whose name comes from the Spanish for thunderstorm, is also known as a twister in America?
Chinook.
Tornado. How are the 19th century agricultural labourers George and James Lovelace, Thomas and John Stanfield, James Bryan and James Hammett collectively known?
Tolpel martyrs.
Yes, the 2005 film Hoodwinked is a reimagined version of which fairy story?
Hansel and Gretel.
Little Red Riding Hood. Which 20th century European dictator was known as El Caudillo, meaning the leader?
Franco.
Yeah. The pearmain, known to have been cultivated in Norfolk since the 13th century, is the oldest recorded English variety of what fruit?
Apple.
Yep. Founded in New York in 1936, the association, known by the initials AAA, was established by a group of painters and sculptors to promote what type of non-representational art?
Pass.
Whose album, Swings Both Ways, released in November 2013, became the 1,000th UK #1 album?
Pass.
Mrs. Rachel Arbuthnot is the title character of which play by Oscar Wilde?
Pass.
On which island is the 12th century Carisbrooke Castle, where Charles I was held prisoner for a year?
Isle of Wight.
Yep. The biblical book that mourns the destruction of Jerusalem by the Babylonians is not thought to be by the prophet Jeremiah, although his name does appear in its full title. What's it called?
Lamentations.
Yes. The Veliki Slap in Croatia and Slap Savica in Slovenia are examples of what geographical features?
Islands.
Waterfalls. Which class of animals include snakes and turtles? Its name originally meant a creeping or crawling animal.
Reptiles.
Yeah. What one-word term for a small flag indicating the nationality of a ship is commonly used in a name for the flag of the United Kingdom?
Ensign.
Jack. What was the name of the English-born Canadian humorist whose early works include literary lapses and nonsense novels, and who was Professor of Economics and Political Science at McGill University from 1908 to 1936?
Galbraith.
Leacock. Which one-act opera by Mascagni is usually performed as a double with Leoncavallo's I Pagliacci?
Pass.
Well, I can tell you, because you're out of time, it's Cavalleria Rusticana. There we go. 4 passes. A Woman of No Importance is the book in which Mrs. Rachel Arbuthnot appears, Oscar Wilde. Robbie Williams, Swings Both Ways, that was his album. And abstract art is what the 3 A's were all about. Andrew, 24 points. So, a clear winner at the end of it. Let's have a look at the scores. In 4th place, 17 points, Andy Crane. 3rd place, 20 points, Jack Young. 2nd place, 21 points, Louise Broadbent. 1st place, 24 points, Andrew Teal. Which means, of course, that Andrew Teal is tonight's winner and he goes through to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. Now, if you would like to be a contender in the next series, do go to our website, bbc.co.uk/mastermind, and you can follow us on Twitter @MastermindQuiz. And do join us again next time for more Masterminds. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.